and age to read any good news on the newspaper page. And love and tradition of the grand design, some people say, is even harder to find. Well, then there must be some magic clue inside these gentle walls. 'Cause all I see is a tower of dreams, real love bursting out of every scene. As days go by, we're gonna fill our house with happiness. The moon may cry, but we'll smile. Mother the blues with tenderness. Days gone by. There's room for you, room for me, for gentle hearts and opportunity. As days gone by, it's the bigger love of the family. It's a rare condition this day and age to read any good news on the newspaper page. And love and tradition of the grand design, some people say, is even harder to find. Well, then there must be some magic clue inside these gentle walls. 'Cause all I see is a tower of dreams, real love bursting out of every scene. As days go by, we're gonna fill our house with happiness. The moon may cry, but we'll smother the blues with tenderness. As days go by, there's room for you, room for me, for gentle hearts and opportunity. As days go by, it's the bigger love of the family. It's a rare condition this day and age to read any good news on the newspaper page. And love and tradition of the grand design, some people say, is even harder to find. Well, then there must be some magic clue inside these gentle walls. 'Cause all I see is a tower of dreams, real love bursting out of every scene. As days go by, we're gonna fill our house with happiness. The moon may cry, but we'll smother the blues with tenderness. As days go by, there's room for you, room for me, for gentle hearts and opportunity. As days go by, it's the bigger love of the family.
Good morning. My name is Vicki Artis, and I work with the Division of Prevention and Behavioral Health Services, Promoting Safe and Stable Families Program, Delaware Fatherhood and Family Coalition. I would like to welcome you to Putting the Family Back in Family Matters Symposium. Thank you for joining the symposium this early Saturday morning. Today, this morning, you will impart and participate in some very enriching sessions. The facilitators are professionals that have committed themselves to this work and working to improve and support the lives of families, children, and their communities. Our facilitators today for the symposium are Delawareans. They live within our state, they work within our state, and they're recognized nationally throughout the United States and abroad. The Delaware Fatherhood and Family Coalition envisions healthy and resilient Delaware children whose fathers are involved and parents effectively work together in parenting their children, supporting their families, and building strong communities. Again, my name is Vicki Artis, and I represent the Division of Prevention and Behavioral Health Services, the Delaware's Children Department. I'd like to welcome you.
Thank you, Vicki. Thank you. Thank you. So we would like to welcome everybody to our family symposium, putting family back in family matters. So we thank everybody who is participating, everybody who took time out of your Saturday to come and join us. So before we get started, I would like to introduce our executive team. The mad scientists, I guess, behind the scenes. First I want to shout out Ms. Dandra Kittles, our family consultant from First State Community Action Agency. Then I want to shout out Ms. Emily Messick, family consultant from Connections. Then our recording secretary, Ms. Candace Banks. And then Holly Johnson, the Director of Permanent Supportive Housing Services, and Tanisha Shaw, our Project Coordinator Trainer. And I don't want to forget Mr. Wade Jones, our statewide coordinator. So we thank our executive team, for putting this together. We have an exciting lineup for you today. We want you to be able to just sit back and learn information. Now, as a coalition, we do have an agenda. We do have a purpose, with our 4 strategic priorities. And with our coalition, we want to, 1, promote fatherhood involvement as a positive influence. We want to increase the awareness of the importance of fathers in the homes and in the lives of their children. 2, we want to be able to build a self-sustaining and self-determining coalition. We want to create a movement, that promotes fatherhood involvement. So number 3, we want to provide, educational opportunities. Much like today, you will hear speakers, you will hear individuals share their expertise and testimonies to better educate one another. And then, 4, we want to promote fatherhood and co-parenting services to build healthy adult relationships and activities between, all of our members. So with that being said, that's our agenda. That's what we want. We're welcome to have anybody and everybody who believes in that agenda, and we want you to join. So we're excited about today. I'm going to get out the way, but first, I want you to realize that we have prizes today. So we're just going to have random prizes. The agenda, like I said, you're going to have some poets, you're going to have some, our keynote speakers, you're going to have breakout sessions, but you're also going to have prizes. And for our first prize, it's going to be randomly selected, but the first prize it's going to go to the first person that came on. Okay. So I don't know if Ms. Kittles, do you have that first person that came on?
Look in your chat box.
All right. All right, so the first person that came on was Takia Duarte. So we thank you for being the first person to come on and join our family symposium. So if you should happen to win a prize today, what we want you to do is we want you to private chat Miss Deandra Kittles your information, your name and number, so we can get back to you. You know, so Miss Deandra Kittles, find her, private chat her, and she will get back to you. So throughout the symposium, we will be doing random prizes, picking people, you know, randomly. So, you know, don't leave your screen for too long, because you know, you may win something. All right. So with that being said, we're going to jump right into it. And the first up we have is our twin poets. Okay, so let me read you a little bit about our twin poets. Okay. Now, these twin poets, their powerful spoken word performances have won awards and landed them even on national TV. It says now they're Wilmington natives. It says they're known as the twin poets, and they even have been named the state's ambassadors for poetry. They're identical twins, and look, they're both social workers, and they're known for their rhythmically spoken poetry that details issues like gun violence, poverty, drugs, and the criminal justice system. So we want you to welcome these twin poets. I'm not even going to try to pronounce their names, but I'm going to hand it over to them.
Anthony, they haven't gotten on yet.
Okay. All right. Well, we will come back to them, okay, at a later time. So we're going to move right into our keynote speaker, okay? So which will be next on the agenda. So I'm going to introduce our keynote speaker, Dr. Julius Mullen. So let me tell you just a little bit about him. You know, throughout his history, he has demonstrated, you know, he has been working with, you know, nonprofit, you know, human service sectors. He has strong leadership expertise and professionally skilled in trauma-informed care, brain science, mental health, training of racial equality and social justice issues. He is a mentor. He is the founder and co-director of Impact Delaware, and Man Up, and some unique mentoring programs. So I want you guys to welcome here Mr. Dr. Julius Mullen.
You mean I was chatting away and you all couldn't hear me? My mute was still on. I saw you getting a little worried, but no problem. We good. It's Saturday morning. We getting warmed up here. I'm going to share my screen. Do a thumbs up for me, Anthony, if you can see my screen. And right about now. All right, wonderful. First and foremost, I want to thank everyone that had anything to do with the planning. I know the Delaware Fatherhood Coalition and the Family Coalition and Connections and all the other partners. I want to make sure I didn't miss anybody. So that's an easy way to categorize that. All the other stakeholders and partners for being part of this wonderful, wonderful organization, but also this wonderful event. I know everybody starts any speech or keynote being honored and humbled, but that's actually for real, as my daughter would say. That's for real for me, because family is, I mean, we hear this slogan all the time, family is all we got, you know, but family is so important, and particularly honored to be part of such esteemed speakers in terms of those who will speak to you following me. Excited to be here this Saturday morning to just share a few words with you. Some information will certainly resonate well But I want to jump right in. Anthony read my bio, and you know, you heard some of the spaces, whether it's those professional spaces, whether it's in the classroom or in the boardroom or in the executive room or in the varying rooms. But perhaps the most prized and perhaps the most intimate role that I like to claim that I feel is being a family man. Anybody knows me that family is so important. We spend a tremendous amount of time, like many families, a tremendous amount of time together and connected. And there's no specific role that I feel the most proud of and the most committed than the role of father or father figure. I know you see grandfather, but I'm not going to say that. They call me Poppy. So we're going to put grandfather as the former name, but my little grands call me Poppy, and I prefer that. That's my street name in terms of being a grandfather. So in terms of what to expect, you will certainly hear many tips or strategies or ideas that resonate with you that you already know. It will remind you of some of the great values and teachings that you are familiar with. Some information will strengthen or reinforce what you already know. And there may be a thought or two that may catch your attention from a different perspective. It may catch your attention in terms of something being new that you didn't necessarily see it that way or haven't heard it that way before. Now, Stephen Covey, I don't know if you're familiar with Stephen Covey, but he has written several books and his son has written some books, but one of his most prominent bestsellers is a book called The 7 Habits of Highly Effective Families. Now, I'm not going to take you to school, but I will share a few of his thoughts from the 7 habits. I'm going to walk down those thoughts a little bit, but I'll come at you from a personal perspective, but also try to highlight some of those 7 habits as it relates to what's going on in the world right now. Now, for those of you who like to count money in terms of you need a reason, what's the big deal with putting family back in the equation, putting family back into the serious conversation, putting family back into our psyche. There is 164 million of our national budget is spent on services associated with, this is their word, not mine, so don't shoot me, family dysfunction. I don't particularly like that word, but you get the point. More specifically, some of that money is because, as you know, and as I know, many families are suffering and have suffered because of toxic relationships and disconnectedness and abandonment and failed relationships. And it has incredible impact on each individual in the family. And sometimes individuals in the family, and you know people perhaps in your family, I certainly do, who are suffering from mental health issues like anxiety and depression and trauma and the difficulty of being able to focus and concentrate. And you know, or I will remind you that those types of stressors has a direct impact on physical health issues. I'm talking about some of the most deadliest, if you will, health consequences, whether it's cancer or diabetes or hypertension or cardiac issues, just to name 2. Toxic stress or stress is directly related to 7. This is research, it ain't me, just me talking. Research says that toxic stress ties to 7 out of the top 10 reasons why people die. And many of those reasons come directly from family issues. it seems no matter where I go and what I'm speaking on, this problem and that problem and this issue and this challenge, if you start to unpeel that thing and unpeel the layers, usually, many times, it ties directly to some issue in the family. Lastly, in terms of what's the big deal, family issues, as you know, have a direct relationship in the workplace. Job performance go down, 30% more likely to receive below average performance evaluation. You probably didn't necessarily always think about family issues and job issues in terms of how much they go together, decreased creativity and productivity and job issues, job loss, and so forth and so on. So for those of you that care about, you know, national dollars, or even want to know what's the big deal about family, why are we having this conversation from this perspective, hopefully you got some good information. Now, for Christian folks or people who have a strong faith, I know the bishop's on the line, and I know he's going to do his thing right after I get done in this particular workshop. But I'm sure many of you who have a strong faith or have spiritual beliefs, God still puts his sights directly on the family as the most important influence in our world. And for him, family is sacred and in the most important building block in everything that he has created. And the family is responsible for his most cherished of all attributes in terms of really emphasizing love. A quick shout out to one of our Man Up guys. You've probably seen the tagline, spread love, period, or spread love. I really believe in that mantra because, I mean, you know, love is the strongest emotion, the strongest muscle we got, and it starts with the family. It is said, I really like this stat. It is stated that by the time we are 4 years old, we will have learned and established 80% of our perspective, of our view of life. And where do those views come from? Directly in the crib, directly at home, directly with family. Now, for others of you who need a more universal, a more general perspective in terms of what's the big deal with family, Mother Teresa said it, if you want to change the world, go home and love your family. If you want to change the world, start with your family. Turn around wherever you're going and start with the fam. All right? All right. So as you know, you heard the intro. Family Matters is the centerpiece of this messaging platform for today. It's a very powerful messaging platform. Family Matters, that tagline, you know, before we even talked about this matters and that matters. A long time ago, some creative juices in Hollywood came up with this show called Family Matters, and I know many of you are very familiar with this show, either as it aired back in the day or all the reruns that are being shown. And we will certainly talk about use the same issues. Fortunately, unfortunately, I don't know, but the very same issues that the Winslows and Urkel and the community had on this particular show, the highs and lows, the celebrations, the stressors, police brutality, police brutality. We'll get into that a little bit later. But taking care of other people's kids, you know, a strong sense of community, and dealing with marital issues and neighborhood issues and so forth and so on. So this is a great messaging, a great message for this particular conference in terms of using the show Family Matters. So at this time, I want you to participate. Anthony already said, got some prizes. So we'll see who can chat and be visible and be active. So in the chat line, real simple, real simple. All you're gonna type in, yes or no. All right. So you're going to put P1, that's for poll question 1, P1, and then you're going to answer the question yes or no. Are you completely satisfied with every aspect of your family right now? Are you completely satisfied with every aspect of your family right now? P1, yes or no. Answer the question. I'm going to give you about 15 seconds to do that, and then we will resume. About 5 seconds. All right, we'll certainly have our data folks paying attention to your responses and collecting your data. But I'm going to hypothesize without even seeing the data. I'm no prophet, Bishop, but I'm going to hypothesize that most of your answers were no. I don't know if there's any perfect family out there where you are completely okay with everything's going on with your family right now. In fact, at least in my family, I don't know about y'all, but at least in my family, 90% of the time, we kind of off track. Something's going on, some issues, some conversation need to be had. There's someone maybe that made a decision inconsistent with the family values, inconsistent with tradition, inconsistent with the way we do things. I think the best of families, good families, great families are most of the time off track and literally kind of lost their way. But I think that's the beauty of families, because we love our way through those issues and those stumbles and those challenges and those stressors. And boy, I know that ain't easy. It's easy to say, love your way through. But when it get down to it, when you got to roll them sleeves up, it's a whole different story. But I just want to kind of acknowledge that even in the best of families, the road is constantly kind of off track. The most important factor, I think, that is critical, that each family member has in their mind as they were raised, either in the family, outside the family, that we have a beautiful family culture. And keep that in terms of the driving force, whether you're on the road or off the road. We say it all the time, they have really good family values, they were taught right, or if they weren't, they were connected with somebody that gave them some good stuff. And keep that in mind in terms of remembering the foundation that we are family, of an amazing family, a beautiful family, in spite of some of the stuff, So we're going to start walking through these 7 habits. But before we start, this is what the book looks like. If y'all want live proof, that it's easy to Google a picture of a book, but have you really invested in the book? Here it is right here. Bam! Stephen Covey, 7 Habits of Highly Effective Families. He has other 7 habits as well, but for today's conversation, we're focusing on families. And before we walk through these 7 habits, it's very important with any change. With any change, it has to be purposeful, it has to be intentional. We have to certainly be open to building some skills and having a broader vision. Family is a beautiful culture, and then work that plan and be focused and stay in it, and stay in it. I digress just a little bit. The Chicago Bulls was down 12 points going in the 4th quarter last night, but they just Stay with the plan, stay with it, stay with it, stay with it. And they were able to once more beat them Bucks. All right, let me come back in the room. All right. Habit number 1, being proactive. And what does it mean? What does it mean? Again, I think each family, in terms of either building your own family in the house, is one, recognizing and acknowledging and accepting that we are family, and being able to think about what we want this family to be like, and build those values that either you were taught or maybe there are new values. Just being honest with my family. Certainly, there were many people that raised me, and even my wife too, who and her family, that played a part anyway in the teachings of, you know, putting those values in you. But some of those values we certainly kept, all right? And we keeping the family going. You know, we hear that all the time, the older folks, that make sure that you do what you do and make decisions and behave and move about in this world based on what you were taught. Some of those values we changed up. We changed up the game in a proactive way. We said some of those values maybe did not work so well for our particular family. So we changed up. And I'm gonna tell you one of them, I ain't gonna get too much into it. I'm gonna tell you one of them. You take it the way you want. We discipline our kids a little bit different than the way we were raised. You take it the way you want, all right? But you know, we got a little criticism, you know, early in our relationship when the kids were young, but that's okay. But that was part of our reestablishing what worked for our family and being proactive and establishing a foundation for our particular family. Habit number 2, I really like this. Family, establishing a family mission statement. Now, the Coveys talked about a family mission statement. Now, you may think about that and say to yourself, a mission statement for a family? That sounds kind of, I don't know, a little professional, a little too formal, but I really like this. Stay with me for a minute. If you think about one word that best describes your family right now, you can chat, go ahead and chat that in. One word that best describes your family right now. And then as you think about that one word, think about another word. Go ahead and chat that in there too. And another word. So you should have 3 words that describe your family. Hopefully it's mostly positive, all right? If not, we'll work with that too. But think about 3 words that best describe your particular family. You can be talking about your family in terms of who you live with. You can talk about your broader family in terms of your generational family. However you want to define it, you should have 3 words. From those 3 words, we're not going to do it today, but you can do this on your own time if you haven't done this. And most of us have went through a similar type of process informally. I'm not sure we write things down. The Coveys want you to write it down. I can see the value and the power in that, and then develop 3 principles that associate with those words, 3 action principles that associate with those words. And I'll give you an example. For us, some time ago, we noticed that whether it was in our family, particularly in our family, you know, every family or every family member has a place. But for our family, there were 3 words that were so provocative that we embraced some time ago. Our family will be described and has been described as very encouraging. We're always teaching and educating and showing another way and another way. And we're empowering, whether it's our kids or our extended family or each other as king and queen of the household, empowering each other with skills or a muscle to be better, to improve, to make this decision. So it's this constant circular process of encouraging, educating, and empowering. And guess what? For those of you that know Anthony mentioned that we have a grassroots program since 2004 called Impact Delaware. And guess what? Those are the 3 principles that define our mission: encouragement, educating, and empowering. So we not only embrace those 3 principles or that mission statement in our house, we expanded it in a formal way in our particular organization. Now, you may want to write down, go through that process with your family and see what kind of words pop up from each member of your family. It's an interesting conversation too that could come from developing a family mission statement. Habit number 3, family has to be number 1. Now that's one value of many from our elders that we were taught. Family got to be number 1. I know you're going to go off and, you're going to do this, you're going to do that, you're going to get into this, you're going to get into that. Everybody's going to have their professional goals and, you're going to be active in the church, you're going to be active in your community, and you're going to have professional aspirations and all of those things are certainly very, very important. But at the end of the day, that base, Mother Teresa, and God himself, as we mentioned earlier, and even a few statistics indicate and promote, family has to command the most attention. And we know that ain't really happening, and 90% of families are off track as part of the process. These are some ideas to either for you to be reminded or to reinforce you, or some of these strategies may be new to you. It's obvious that in relationships, the couple should love each other, but that's a loaded statement. I mean, love is defined in so many different ways. But one of the things I want to emphasize, and I'm so proud, one of the best compliments I've ever gotten, one of the best feedback or verbal praise that I've ever gotten, when I overheard my children saying that Dad and Mom has a special, unique connection with each one of us, and then start talking about the different examples. Oh my gosh, you're talking about being choked up, and I really believe in that. Each child, I don't care if you got 15 kids. Now I know that's going to be harder, but much more difficult. But developing that individual connection with each one of your children. Mom has an individual relationship. Sometimes it's grandma or dad. Sometimes we got close families like the uncle or poppy or whoever is considered family. I think you already know I'm not always talking about mom, dad, kids, dog, cat. You know what I mean? The definition of family can be expanded depending on that family makeup. But the most important thing I want to emphasize in this habit 3, put first things in first in terms of each caring adult should have a special, unique, individual relationship with each child. Each child must be first, not the oldest, not the youngest, not the middle, not anybody else in between. Each child. This is one of my favorite habits because I think this has powerful consequences in terms of being able to have that open. Now I'm not saying always going to be pretty. You're not going to be high-fiving, kissing, and hugging each other all the time, but having that open, consistent communication with each one of your children, and when turbulence comes or the waves start to get rocky, it's much easier to have those constructive conversations in terms of hear them out, listen to them, and perhaps giving them some ideas as well. One of the strategies that we do is have these consistent random check-ins, whether it's by text or phone call or Facebook inbox or whatever the communication is. I'm not sold on, but make really emphasizing to have that direct communication consistently on an ongoing basis. Number 4, all right, in our marriage, and not just marriage, and in a relationship in the family, this concept of think win-win. You get what you want, I get what I want. Whether it's in marriage or a parenting relationship, now you're probably saying, kids not gonna always get what they want. You right, you got me with that one. You're exactly right. It ain't always be a win-win with the kids all the time. I think logical and natural consequences are very, very powerful. Logical and natural consequences are very, very powerful. I'll give you a quick example. I'm not going to tell you who it is, but I remember, I think my daughter was, 16, 17, and it was late night or early morning, past the midnight hour. So she had a bad muffler in the car, and so I kind of had a reputation in the family as far as always hearing everything. So it's hard to sneak out, hard to sneak in. So now her muffler didn't help as far as being able to sneak out. So I heard, and it was early in the morning. So I just texted her and said, boy, it must be worth it. So it's really empowering her to make that choice. You can keep going. You know what's coming, which are, pretty extensive, expansive, long-term consequence. I'll just say that. And about 5 minutes later, she came on back. But I use that example as symbolism in terms of really embracing those consequences, because I think when kids have control to make decisions, they already know the consequence. They're already built in. This is not a parenting session, but I know the experts are going to get much more deep into that a little later. But in terms of the concept of think win-win, another strategy that we use that hasn't been always embraced by family tradition, but I think many people are seeing the value of praising kids in public and giving some constructive feedback, some direction, some guidance in private. I just don't believe in, embarrassing the kids. That's on the opposite end of thinking win-win, because you want a lesson to be learned even in parenting as well. But praising in public, whether it's Facebook, whether it's face-to-face, whether it's around this family member or this person and that person. And then if you see a misstep, see a mishap, or something that, remember, 90% of the time, family's going to be off track. So you're going to see a lot of mishaps. Not just in parenting, but in family relationships in general. Pull them aside, whether it's a text, tweet, whatever works. Inbox, phone call, and have a conversation in terms of giving some direction. Because parents, as you know, have an obligation to give some direction too. All right. Now, I want to shift a little bit and increase some the seriousness a little bit. I want to slow down a little bit based on what's going on in our society, our country right now. So I was having this conversation with my 2 boys. This was maybe not quite 10 years ago, but they were certainly older teens. And the conversation was about police brutality. So I was having a conversation with them. The new generation, and they are certainly powerful in numbers. There's more millennials than any other generation since the boomers, and I think they're even more than the boomer generation. But anyway, having this conversation about what to do when you get stopped by the police. I talked about the usual that you all know all too well. And but as a father, as a Black father, I had an obligation to have this serious conversation. And I talked about, you know, the cop gets behind you, you stop, you raise your one, you lower your 1 or 2 hands on the wheel, tell your boys to shut up, cut the music down, all that. Yes, sir, no, ma'am. So I saw them looking at me in a level of curiosity. But one of them said, and both of them looked this way, really, Dad? Are you serious? Are you really serious? And we gotta do all of that. That sucks. That's not fair. So sometimes, under the element of thinking win-win, having those difficult conversations where you're with them, but in the best interest of your children, providing information that in this instance could perhaps, ooh, that's hard to say, could perhaps save their life. Not even a guarantee. Not even a guarantee. But having those conversations again and again and again and again, and giving them some skills, some concrete skills, even if it's difficult to understand, even if they don't really understand it then, staying with it. And we know this, but within the context of this habit, I thought it was appropriate and timely and responsible to interject what's going on around police brutality and have to have those conversations from a family perspective. All right, P2, poll question number 2. I want you to chat again. Put in your chat yes or no. P2, do you completely understand every decision each one of your family members make in life? Do you completely get it? All the decisions, all the moves that each family member make in life. I'll give you about 5 minutes. I didn't say 5 minutes, 15 seconds. 15 seconds, yes or no. P2, yes or no. About 5 seconds. Okay, once again, our data staff is on it. They're collecting the data, synthesizing the data, see what the trends are. But I got a feeling, that's a song, and I got a feeling that most of your answers would be no. Might be a couple yeses, I don't know. Might be all yeses, not absolutely sure, but I got a feeling. I got that feeling. But anyway, I got a feeling that most of your answers are no. Habit number 5 that relates to the last poll question. It's almost impossible to understand and agree with every decision that each member of your family makes. This is probably my favorite. I like the other one in terms of first things first, but this is probably my favorite, even outside of the family. This thing is the GOAT. And if you don't know what GOAT means, greatest of all time. I really, really, really love this habit. Seek first to understand, then to be understood. Whether your wife, husband, partner, mom, dad, uncle, poppy, my mom, Gigi, that's what they call my wife, Gigi. You know, we got these alternative names other than grandfather and grandma. But whatever your role is, and not just us, you know, this is many families embrace many of these habits, and I'm sure many of you do as well. But seeking first to understand crosses the lines of family to job to church, particularly when someone is in a situation or in a scenario where they're having some trouble. And I know what we sometimes do is spend so much time internally. Some of us say it. I mean, some of my family ain't trying to hear this. You know, they jumping right to the answer and trying to reply. Or some thinking while the other person is talking in their pain, in their situation, in their problem area. They're thinking the whole time what I'm going to say to this person. But really trying to put yourself, even if you have not been in that particular situation, seek first to understand and try to see where the person is coming from. And it's very difficult when it's family. It's much easier for us to do that professionally with counselors, with social workers, with psychologists, with teachers, with preachers, with this, with that. But when that family equation come into the situation, and those emotional ties are directly connected, and you really, really care and love your family on a completely different level, sometimes it's more difficult to hear them out. Sometimes it's more difficult to seek first to be understood than to be understood. We've been toying around for a while now, these love languages. And love languages are normally discussed within the context of couples and marriages. But I think love languages have a powerful place in parenting as well. And if you haven't taken the love language electronic quiz, you know, you can just Google it. Chapman wrote a book in 1992, but you can Google the quiz right online. On take about, I don't know, 2 or 3 minutes, and you'll see how you prefer to be loved. You know, everybody love languages sometimes are different, and I think it's even more interesting and provocative and useful in parenting when you have each one of your kids to take the love languages. Each one of our kids took the love languages. We use this tool in our extended family, in our couples conversation and so forth and so on. And it's fascinating, even with our kids, you know, we have a child who rather be affirmed, you know, and be reminded of the positive things that they do, whether it's one-on-one or Facebook or whatever. So, another child rather spend quality time, quality FaceTime. I'm not talking about electronic FaceTime, but real physical quality time. And then another one really likes hugs and physical touch. And then another one rather prefer acts of service or surprise gifts. So it's a combination of what each person in the family may find consistent with how they like attention, how they like to be praised, how they like to be recognized, how they like to be loved. And that goes along with this habit because you start to understand, once again, first things first, emotional connection with each one of your children or emotional connection with each family member that's close to you. You have a special place, you know. It may not be super deep with your nieces and nephews, but you have a special connection, you know. But sometimes in the crib, in your own house, with whoever you consider family, finding out how they want to be loved helps this habit of seeking first to be understood. Synergize. Like many of you, I'm sure, many celebrations and traditions, however you operationalize or however they look like in terms of those family traditions that you have and very proud of in your family that's been passed down generation after generation after generation. But I also mentioned, as you recall, 90% of families are kind of off course, or at least 90% of the time. And some of that off courseness, if you will, is because children and family members see the world differently. Although our families are under, this single generational group, each individual may have different types of interests and values, and sometimes those values, depending on what they are, kind of rock the family a little bit. But there are opportunities, even if you don't understand them, getting to a place. Remember, family is number one, so you're keeping that as your main theme, as your main frame, your main ideal, keeping that as the centerpiece. Family's number one. So involving each family member, particularly when the road get rocky, and we certainly had our share of a rocky road with this scenario and that scenario and this or that. But families go through stuff, all right? And I think the best way to move through that stuff is involving the family. Knock down those elephants. One of my pet peeves in families, at least in my family, is elephants. I like to put those elephants out. Let's go and expose them, talk about them. It may be rocky, it may be some fussing, maybe a little bit cussing, a little bit cussing every now and then, but we get through it, and we put it out there, and the space becomes less tense. I know you've been in situations in your family, or family reunions, or barbecues, or even in your own crib where the kitchen's hot. I mean, the house is tense, and there's something going on. Usually it's around a particular family member, or two or three have decided to make a certain decision, or they're living a different lifestyle, or they're behaving this way. There's a million different examples that you know all too well. Some of the best advice that I've heard from my own kids, even here recently. I certainly don't agree with every decision each one of my kids make, back to the poll question. So we put that thing out there and we talk about it. I mean, my kids always say, I like to have discussions. I cut the TV off and say, so. But what I'm really doing, trying to build this family habit, this family behavior of talking about stuff. And sometimes it's smaller stuff, and sometimes it's bigger stuff. So this was a big thing. I ain't gonna tell my family business, I ain't doing all that, which I think is respectful. But anyway, after the conversation, or during the conversation, one of my kids made a comment, said that I just got to the point where I just accept all of my family for who they are. But I went into it, yo, I don't know what to do. Dad, that's hard for dads, especially, and this is no racial connotation, but the way we were taught in our African-American tradition, the dad, the men, should be able to fix everything. I don't care what it is. But I went to the table, which I think is a centerpiece of this habit number 6. I don't know what to do. So one of my kids say, I just learned to accept our family, accept people for who they are, and keep loving them. And boy, that smacked me right across the face. I embraced it. I'm so glad that he was able to say that. And then I had another child that's let me be me. And that's another thing that slapped me. And I really had to think about that in terms of, and it has produced increased synergy in our family, not because of this specific situation, but because the way we talk about and put these situations out there, expose the elephants, minimize the elephants, even if it gets rocky, include family members in the conversation, not just include them in the conversation, which is completely different the way I was raised. Kids stay in the kids' place, adults take care of everything else. But we are learning to include our kids into these family issues or family problems or family misunderstandings, and so they can be helpful in the problem-solving process. Last one, coming to a close. Bishop, I know you say all the time, I ain't gonna be before you long. I'm finna close this thing, but I'm for real. I'm for real this time, Bishop. All right, so the last habit, sharpen the saw. Sharpening the saw. Again, sometimes we will be at a place in our families where it's a pretty decent flow. Family's going all right. I know that, you know, we're off course, but we're in a really nice flow while being off course. Communication is high. Yeah, we got problems and all that, but we're dealing with it. We're talking about it. You know, people got, we got jobs and we're feeling good about ourselves. We're connected to a church. We're connected to values. We're connected to our dreams and aspirations professionally. And overall, for the most part, families doing relatively well. Sometimes families aren't doing so well. So what a good time, either scenario, to keep sharpening the saw, to keep getting better and better and better. I tell you, since this coronavirus, and I know you probably feel the same way, since March, I know we got different feelings probably about, you know, why this is happening and how we're dealing with it and so forth and so on. But I have seen more families together, walking, playing in the backyard, connected in the house. I ain't gonna mention the school thing. You know, that's a different conversation. But together in the house, doing things. You embrace with family projects. You're doing personal projects. The family is together because we couldn't go out. What a message! What a message in terms of rededicating our commitment to sharpening the saw, socially together, the way we think about each other, the way we think about our own mental health, the way we are expressing ourselves in terms of our exposing those elephants. We're physically close in the family, not necessarily physically close outside of the family, hope not, but we're physically close in the family. The living rooms and the kitchens and the bedrooms and so forth and so on. Some families have also used this as an incredible opportunity to become much more focused on their spiritual walk and their spiritual life, however that's defined. You know, this coronavirus certainly has challenged maybe our mission statement, because we have naturally, and we haven't said it, but it seems like our family is loving harder, you know, with being better. And we had, you know, recent crisis and death in our family for the most part. And we're getting messages from that in terms of that particular loss. So we got to love harder, you know. But I view that as being consistent with sharpening the saw. In terms of following these 7 habits. So once again, before I officially wrap up and close, keep the family culture, keep the family vision, regardless of being off course or not, they're gonna always be. I don't think it's ever gonna be a perfect family where there's no issues, no problems, everybody's down with every decision that each member of the family makes. You understand everything that each one of your family is involved in. I don't think that's ever going to happen, but if you keep the centerpiece of the family mission, or keep the centerpiece of we have a beautiful family, all could be described differently from this family and that family and this family, but we have a beautiful family, keeping the end in mind. All right, the last poll question, P3, last poll question. Which word best describes your response to today's keynote? Pick one of those words that ties directly to the goals. Were you reminded of information that you already knew? Did this information reinforce or strengthen what you knew? Or did you learn something new and you were renewed because of new information? Just pick one word. You probably had a combination of all 3. Pick the strongest one. Pick the strongest one that resonated with you within this last 45 minutes or so. I'll give you about 15 seconds for that. Chat away. 5 seconds. Just because we're ahead of schedule, I'll give you 5 more seconds. Okay, as you wrap up your last chat, P3 poll question, our data experts will certainly collect and analyze your responses to evaluate this particular training or this keynote, but also to set the pace for future planning, I'm sure. Once again, thank you so much for having me spend a few minutes with you this morning. I hope you were either reminded, reinforced, or renewed, or a combination of the three. It's been my pleasure to share a few thoughts, and hopefully I was able to bring Covey's 7 Habits of Highly Effective Families to a level where it's relevant to you, where it's practical and meaningful to you as well. Thanks again. We have my contact information is on the screen. If you want to email me or call me or have further questions or clarifications, I'm not sure, Anthony or Tanisha or anyone, if we have time for questions or not, or we're going to move to the next part of the agenda.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Mullins, for that outstanding presentation. And if you do have any questions, like I say, his information is there. You can private chat him, if you have any questions, so on and so forth. So I just wanted to go back. I failed to mention who I was. My name is Anthony Williams, and I am the president of the Sussex County, Delaware Fatherhood and Family Coalition. So we are statewide, so we have different chapters in each county, but I'd like to acknowledge all those who are on Facebook Live as well. We thank you for, tuning in. And if you have any questions about the Delaware Fatherhood and Family Coalition, you can go on www.dffcdads.org and check out, our upcoming events, our pictures of past events, our county leaders, so on and so forth. And at this time, we have chosen, a winner for a random prize, but we will contact that person personally. So with that being said, we're going to move right into our agenda, our next thing on our agenda, which is our twin poets. So I'm just going to review, some of their, accomplishments, as I said earlier, he says their powerful spoken word performances have won awards and even landed them on national TV. It says these brothers are straight out of Wilmington. Like I said, they're called the Twin Poets, and they've even been named the state's ambassadors for poets. It says they're identical twins, and they're both social workers, and their rhythmically spoken poetry often details issues like gun violence, poverty, drugs, and the criminal justice system. So I would like you to welcome our twin poets, so you guys can take it away.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for having us, the twin poets, Anamdi Chipocha, Brother Al Mills, and we are delighted to be here to be a part of the symposium today to share our work and our words as lifelong social workers from a family of social workers. This whole sense of what family means, how do we restore family, rebuild family, reconnect family, especially in this new world that we're all found ourselves living in, that sense of purpose and dedication and being there for one another, finding ways to just embrace and hold on to the culture of your family, that unique part of your family that makes your family your family. And while Doc was speaking, I was jotting down some notes, and it definitely reminded me of my family. So I wanted to just share this piece that I was just moved to start writing. I'm gonna call it Family Smiles. Grandmother baking cakes. What slice will I take? Sunday school and a Sunday dinner. Family get-togethers, keeping us close and tight. Then we'd ask if our favorite cousins could spend the night. Saturday morning, we're all up early doing chores. We rush through and get told, it's not clean enough, go clean it some more. The boys is taking the trash out or cutting the grass. My sister's is helping mom in the kitchen and doing the dishes. Smiles on her face, birthday and Christmas wishes. Brand new bikes and video games. Family meetings, talking at dinner. So much praise from our family, we knew we were winners. Attending church together, sitting at the table doing our homework together, meals together, movie night, family together, smiling bright, love is tight. The only TV was in the living room. No isolating watching TV in your room. We all had to share. The family rules kept things fair. Doing favors for your neighbors, laughing, having fun at the cookouts. Puppies and jars full of lightning bugs. Nothing's better than grandmom's hugs. Loving and fun homes. Caring parents with happy kids. Let's make the way it is, the way it was. Let's make the way it is, the way it was. Caring families full of lots of love. Thank you.
And that leads us to the first poem we wanted to share, entitled, I Want to See Our Children Smile Again. And our writing process is to start with the title, and then we build the poem around the title. Many years ago, I was driving, and George Benson's song, Whitney Houston, The Greatest, came on, and the song, the refrain, I believe the children are the future. Teach them well and let them lead the way. Show them all the beauty they possess inside. Give them a sense of pride. Make it easier. And it said, let the children's laughter just remind us how we used to be. And I texted my brother, and I said, that's the poem. Let's remind us how I used to. Let the children's laughter just remind us how we used to be. And we wrote this poem entitled, I Want to See Our Children Smile Again. Against the wind, believing that they can win. I want to see bashful blushes and innocent crushes. I just want to see her playing in the streets until the streetlights came on and mom said it was time to come eat, and hungry hearts are fed the love that they need. I want to see our children respecting their neighbors and connecting with their neighbors. Children playing with toys and not guns, and t-shirts that don't have the faces of murdered loved ones. I want to see our children counting the days till Christmas, not the murders till Christmas. Living in a worry-free society, living free without care. Safe in the streets like your big brother was standing there. And realizing that it's somebody's shoulders they're standing on. And we all have a responsibility to carry on. I want to see our children in schools being prepared, doing their best for teachers that care. And if they know that if they don't do their homework today, there's no way they can go out to play. I want to see our children reading with smiles on their faces, their imagination taking them to different places, just reading, reminding us of how we used to be. I want to see our children moving with the freedom of jazz, believing that they can do anything, just smiling, singing a song called life, dancing to music that made us just want to live forever. I want to see our children just smile again. Let their laughter just remind us of how we used to be, when our mother could correct us with just a look on her face, because we knew a child's place. We didn't talk so grown, we didn't walk so grown, because at home, we were shown. And let the children's laughter just remind us of how we used to be, when there was no TV, no video games, just smiling children, content playing board games. And we didn't know words like I'm bored or I can't. Every day climbing the same tree, yet reaching for a higher branch. I'm talking about endless joys, $1 worth of penny candy, sticky, sweet, now later smiles. And let the children's laughter just remind us of how we used to be, when our family, neighbors, even strangers modeled appropriate behavior. And we just expected our kids to live a life better than we did. I want to see our children smile again. I'm talking about Christmas morning, brand new bike smiles. Our children are living deprived lives. They seek guidance but can't find it, because Sunday school isn't just for the kids in the choir. Every Sunday morning, I want to see their Vaseline shiny faces, dressed in their Easter best, just smiling, shining, remind us of how we used to be. I want to see young ladies dressing like young ladies, not wearing everything so tight, dressing like young ladies, not ladies of the night. And I want to see young brothers wearing belts, pants pulled up on their breasts, just smiling, remind us how we used to be, because we told them, but more importantly, we showed them how we used to be. Thank you.
This poem is Hello Beautiful. My brother and I, we volunteer at the shelter for young ladies, and it's just odd that the self-esteem is such a big thing. When a new resident comes in, they're like, everyone's like, ooh, 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 oh, I like her hair. She's so beautiful. This, she's so beautiful. That. Oh, I like how she wears her shirt. You know, it's what one young lady. Oh, I like how she wears. I'm like, you all are wearing uniforms. You're wearing the same clothes. You know, see that beauty in yourself. And then I gave them just to see the beauty in themselves. And we wrote this piece called Hello Beautiful to show them how beautiful they are. Find your own beauty in you. Hello, beautiful. I don't know who you're looking at like that. I don't know who you're looking at like that. Girl, I don't know why you keep looking at me. You don't let the corners of your mouth curl and just point to the sky. Who you looking at with those old ugly eyes, trying to tell me those old ugly little lies about how we not pretty enough, how our features are too strong and our hair is too rough. I swear you need to get your eyes checked, because every day here you come again with the same old mess about how she looks better and how you like her hair. But don't you think she's thinking the same thing when she looks in the mirror? Yeah, I know, blah, blah, blah. I heard it all before. You don't like our nose, our eyes, our cheekbones, our lips for sure. And don't even get me started on the pimples and blackheads. How you wish mom would get us some Proactive like the other kids. And then my skin would look better and everybody would say how cute I am. But snap out of it, snap out of it. When did hating our gifts become a part of our plan? And you think you want to be like her, but she's just doing what she saw someone else do. The flyest thing of all is just you being you. So just smile, because you can't be number two, because there's only one you. So let's make a pact and agree that when you look in the mirror from now on, you'll be amazed at all the beauty you see. I want you to see, when you look at me, I want you to see your face as a priceless jewel, a full sunflower, peach blossom and bloom. I want you to see the marks of beauty that make us unique. Gaze at our features, show your fingers down our cheeks. See the beautiful rainbows at our eyebrows, brother, roses at our eyes. In the middle of our carnation lily cheeks is my lotus flower of a nose. And my mouth is as beautiful as jasmine and ginger. When I smile, you notice I no longer have two lips, but rather tulips, orchids, and daisies. I know to see me the way the first time is amazing. But we in this together, girl, me and you. And if you forever see the beauty in me, I'll forever show the beauty in you. When you look at me, I want you to smile and want to take a selfie. But when you see me and greet me tomorrow morning and say, hello, beautiful, I won't be surprised. I'll just show now she knows the beautiful flower she is on the inside. Hello, beautiful.
This last poem is one entitled For the Artist Formerly Known As, and as a father of one teenage daughter now, but years ago I wrote this poem for my oldest daughter when she was in elementary school, and it just always reminds me of that beautiful bond between a father and daughter. And she would get out of school, elementary and middle school. She'd get off the bus and she'd come walking to me. Oh, Dad, those are some nice shoes. Oh, I like those. I like those. And Dad, can I please have $5? I want to go skating. Please, 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 please. Then she gets to high school and it's, oh, Dad, you been working out? No, Dad, you looking good. Oh, you looking good. Dad, can I please have $25 so I can go to Applebee's? Please, please, please. She gets to college and then all of a sudden she's, Dad, I'm not even gonna play around with you. I'm short $480 for my rent. Next thing I know, my credit card's on the table. It's like I've been robbed by a ninja. She going, I don't know what happened. And I wrote this poem for my daughter and for her craftiness, her artistry. And it's called For the Artist Formerly Known As, with a whole bunch of dollar signs. When it comes to my daughter, my heart beats a strange rhythm. When I hear her say, Dad, 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 can I have? Sometimes in her frantic rush, she goes beyond rhyme or reading with ease, singing the blues, please, please, please. She sings her song with one hand outstretched, 5 fingers wanting to hold cold, hard cash. But for now, she holds notes both high and low. Father still says no. Reminiscent of a hip-hop DJ, she transforms the cadence to the given situation. She greets her temporary defeat with the song so sweet. She switches her pitch and goes wholeheartedly into a chorus, inviting me into a duet. As she explained, that is really no cost to you, because if you pay for it now, I promise I'll pay you back. But she never says exactly when that transaction will occur, like I should just believe her. But much to her dismay, I have to ask questions that the father just has to ask, like, should I add this $50 to the last $50?
Or
Or should I just subtract? Because I don't ever remember getting that back. But history has never been her favorite subject. So of course she would never remember that. All of a sudden, daughter smiles and father gives in again. Thank you. Be well. Thank you, everyone.
All right, all right. Let's snap it up. Awesome, awesome, awesome. You know, got a little jealous. I was like, why can't I, around like that? But that's my first time hearing you guys, and
don't say that out loud. Don't say that out loud. I've been doing this for 30 years in Delaware. Don't say that out loud.
Well, I've heard your name though.
All right.
I've heard your name, so. But thank you guys for that. If anybody, I'm unsure whether or not you guys want to be contacted or so on and so forth. But if you have any questions for them, just kind of, privately chat them. And for any, words of inspiration or encouragement, just privately chat them, and they will entreat you. All right, thanks, guys.
Thank you.
All right, so at this time, we just want to announce that another winner has been selected as far as our random prize, but we will reach out to them, privately and let them know that they have, won one of our random selection prizes. So with that being said, we're going to move right into our breakout sessions. Now, when you registered, you would have registered for one of these 3 breakout sessions, which would be parenting and co-parenting, which will be held in the Carlton and Harriet Winslow room, which will be facilitated by Dr. George Gibson. Or the second room will be the Healthy Relationships room, the Eddie Winslow room, which will be facilitated by Mr. Robin Moore and Mr. Jason Hall. And then we have the third room, which is Healthy Relationships, which is the Laura Winslow room for the teen females, which will be facilitated by Dr. Sandi Hagans-Morris. Okay, so I believe we're now going to go into our breakout session.